brain used to treat every new opportunity like a saber-toothed tiger, heart-pounding, palms sweating, an absolute certainty that one wrong move would get me thrown out of the tribe for good. Sound familiar? That feeling of being an imposter, that your success is a fluke and you're about to be found out? If that paralyzing fear resonates deep in your bones, then please stay with me. Because the single, potent phrase I am about to hand you turned that survival panic into pure rocket fuel for growth, and it takes under 10 seconds to install into your thinking. For years, I honestly believed that confidence was just a personality trait you were born with. You either showed up bulletproof, like the speakers I watched effortlessly command a stage and rake in applause, or you just stayed quietly in row 12, hoping not to be noticed. Every time I flubbed a presentation or got a critical piece of feedback, the voice in my head, that relentless inner critic, would finish the story for me. See? There's the proof. You're just not cut out for this. You never will be. Researchers call this a fixed mindset, the powerful but mistaken belief that your abilities are set in stone. I just called it every Monday morning. The result? I'd start exciting projects, hit the first tiny, inevitable hiccup, and then fold faster than a cheap plastic lawn chair, retreating to what felt safe. Does that sound like anyone you know? The switch, the real aha moment that changed everything, clicked during a surprisingly unboring Tuesday webinar on Carol Dweck's groundbreaking growth mindset research. One line didn't just leap off the slide, it felt like it screamed directly at me. Failure is information, not a verdict. I paused the webinar, backed it up, scribbled that sentence on a bright pink sticky note, and slapped that sucker right onto the frame of my monitor. It wasn't a mystical incantation, just a deliberate, conscious relabeling of an experience. Your brain feels inherently safer when it knows what something is. When you call failure evidence I suck, your limbic system, the brain's primitive alarm center, fires off danger signals and floods you with cortisol. But when you call it data, your prefrontal cortex, the sophisticated problem-solving part of your brain, stays online and gets curious. Neurologically, that tiny reframe is the difference between a fight or flight shutdown and a calm, engaged readiness to tinker. Think of your mind as a brilliant, tireless scientist running experiments in a vast laboratory called your life. A failed trial isn't some damning referendum on the researcher's worth. It's simply a crucial data point that illuminates the path forward. It tells the scientist, okay, that approach didn't work, which means we're now one step closer to finding what does. I started treating every awkward silence in a sales call, every rough draft mercilessly ripped apart by an editor, every bombed idea as a new entry in my personal lab notebook. The goal shifted entirely. I was no longer trying to collect gold stars of approval, but to collect iterations and insights. Confidence stopped being this elusive, magical trait I had to possess before starting and instead became a tangible byproduct of consistent reps. More experiments led to more honest feedback, which led to better hypotheses for the next attempt. Suddenly, that inner critic sounded less like a tormenting bully and more like a meticulous, socially awkward lab assistant with questionable people skills. Here's how you bolt this powerful mindset onto your own brain, starting tonight. First, pick one specific thing you've been avoiding out of fear or self-doubt. Maybe it's emailing that dream podcast host, finally uploading your first reel, or signing up for that intimidating class. Now write down the absolute worst-case scenario in one concise sentence. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Directly under it, write this question: if that happens, what is the most valuable thing I would learn from it? This simple act externalizes the fear and forces you to frame even the worst outcome as a source of information. Then take the tiniest possible action toward it. Hit record for just 30 seconds, draft only the email subject line, or just walk one block toward the gym. When the outcome lands, good, bad, or a shrug-inducing meh, spend 2 minutes journaling the raw data. No emotional adjectives, just objective observations. Spoke too fast in the first 10 seconds. Audience questions was 0. The topic of ancient recipes was confirmed as interesting by 3 people afterward. Close the notebook. Repeat tomorrow. Consistently taking these small, documented actions builds unstoppable momentum. Within a single week, you'll have a data set of experience bigger than most people collect in a year, and your brain will actually start to crave the feedback loop instead of instinctively fearing it. Quick favor, if you don't mind. If this is already clicking for you, please tap that like button so the algorithm knows to show this to the next overthinker who might be stuck in analysis paralysis. I really appreciate you helping spread the message. 6 months after that sticky note epiphany, I walked onto a brightly lit stage to give a keynote address to a packed room. The same old familiar signs were there, the same slightly sweaty palms, the same intense, blinding spotlight. But the story unfolding in my head had completely flipped. My old self would have been on that stage to prove I belonged there, desperate for validation. My new self was there to run an experiment, to test whether my new opening joke would land with this specific crowd. Spoiler alert, it bombed. Hard, crickets, a few polite, pained chuckles. The old me would have absolutely spiraled, convinced that everyone now thought I was a fraud. The new me calmly heard the data, thought, note to self, that joke isn't the right hook, seamlessly swapped to the backup opening I had prepared, and kept rolling. By the end of the talk, there was a line of people waiting to tell me how the message had genuinely shifted their thinking. That initial failure didn't shrink me, it upgraded the presentation in real time. Self-doubt hasn't vanished, of course. It still whispers its anxious warnings. But now it's pointing toward the next experiment instead of screaming at me to abort the mission entirely. So, here's that potent one-liner to keep within arm's reach, to etch into your mind until it's an automatic response. Failure is information, not a verdict. Tattoo it on a sticky note, recite it like a mantra before you press publish, and let it echo when a critique stings and your ego feels bruised and exposed. Do that, and confidence becomes less about feeling absolutely certain and more about simply staying relentlessly curious. The tribe, your audience, your colleagues, they don't need you to be perfect. They need you in motion, bravely collecting data, openly sharing the results, and iterating out loud for all to see. This isn't just a mindset switch, it's a blueprint for continuous and meaningful personal growth. Are you ready to run your next experiment? Drop a comment below with the one test you're relaunching this week. Let's crowdsource some amazing hypotheses and destroy self-doubt together, one valuable data point at a time.